Not necessarily because you wanted to believe and you were a big fan, but because you realized your dad didn't have to handle you the way he did your entire
He
life.
trained me.
Yeah.
He'd let me suffer
Yeah.
so many times. My father one time was bleeding really heavily in a match with the great BOLO back in the day. And he was in Oklahoma City. So it's 145 miles home of curving roads through the mountains. My father is bleeding so bad that when he gets in the car, he starts bleeding again. And he pulls over. I'm 12 years old. Now, I had driven a truck before because my grandfather would take me out to his job, which was building fences and stuff, and he would get drunk, and I'd have to drive the truck home for us. But I'd put it in first gear and just go. Miserable trip for him, but I'd get us home. But now my father's telling me, son, I don't think I'm going to make it. You're going to have to drive. If I pass out, son, just try to get me to the hospital. What? Well, what are we going to the hospital? Right up here this next town? No, son, I don't want to die there. I want to die at home. The old man's fucking with you. He is fucking with me so bad, man. And I look back and I can remember him reaching over and grabbing the wheel sometimes when I'd be going off the road, you know. He saved our asses there. But that's the kind of shit I'd went through. So here I am going to referee for the first time and thinking it was real. And I haven't got a clue what they're talking about. And I get in the ring and the fans thought I was the best damned referee of all time. Because, brother, I call shit that I didn't see. I call shit that I felt was wrong. I even disqualified a guy who wasn't supposed to be disqualified. Yeah. And I'd slow count the heels, you know. And the fans loved me. Wrestlers hated me. And after about a week of this, they pulled me aside and said, look, if you're going to keep doing it that way, you're out of a job. You got to work with us. Again, this is all new to me, but I picked it up pretty quick, you know, and I did that for about 10 months. And then Bill Watts came back into the picture and I was
I don't mean to cut you off. How tall were you at 18? Are you still 6'6" at 18?
No, I was 6'3".
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not 6'6" now. I'm 6'4.5" soft.
But you were 6'6" in a day, right?
No.
Oh,
I've never been
soft.
6'5". You got that, right?
Yeah, I got it.
You folks at home. Some reference to that, go to Wild Bill. Yeah, man, it was tough, man. And so when I got into wrestling, the only thing I'd ever done is set up a ring and ran the ropes some and learned how to hit turnbuckles from Bob SWEETAN and learned how to run the ropes from Bob SWEETAN. And I remember running those ropes so much that when it came time to referee that night, I had to referee with my left hand because I couldn't raise my right arm.
People don't realize that, man.
Those ropes, man.
Those ropes,
they are brutal.
They'll bruise you up.
Man, I turned purple, green, all sorts of color, black, up and down. I thought when it turned green, I was rotting, you know, and it was pretty rough. But then I got into wrestling the worst way you could, by the trial and error method. And that caused me some injuries right off the bat. You know, I folded this wrist here over to my arm, which is not a good thing, and had to have surgery about a year in, and I was horrible. I vapor locked when I'd get in the ring. You could talk to me all damn day, but when I got in the ring and they rang the bell, I became the stick man. You couldn't bend my arms, you couldn't do shit. So my matches were usually about 5 to 7 minutes of me getting hammered because the heel gets so pissed off that he couldn't do anything with me. And they just knocked the shit out of me, you know. But then I went several places and I'd last about 6 weeks to 2 months and I'd get fired because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And, you know, my father was calling places telling them not to use me. And then I went to Eddie Graham and that's when somebody started to really try to help me. And I'll never forget the man that helped me a lot. Couldn't speak a word of English. Hero, one Hero Matsuda. It was a came out, my brain had a brain fart. I just forgot the guy's name. But a Japanese here. Oh, no,
Right here, let's see.
it wasn't Matsuda. Matsuda came to me, he told me, he says, you don't make it in wrestling when you get hungry enough. Like, hungry enough? He goes, yeah, you're going to have to starve first. I didn't understand that, but it was the truth. When you can't put food on the table, you'll start working harder. And the kid that took me into the ring, and Japanese gentleman, and he took me in the ring and worked with me a couple of times. He helped me a lot. Then I wound up in Kansas City with Buck Robley. Now, Buck had been called by my father, told not to use me, but my father and Buck Robley butted heads all the time. Because he was the booker in Louisiana for a while, and he tried to take the territory from Bill Watts, and that was exciting. But with the Freebirds, Paul Orndorff, DiBiase, and Dr. Death. But anyway, they butted heads, and so Buck gave me a job in Kansas City. He kept me off television. That way I was able to stay there longer because I was so bad. And then the biggest thing happened to me to get me started. And what had happened was, it was Wednesday morning. I knew that I wasn't going to be on TV because I'd never been on television for Buck. And he calls me. He lived above me in an apartment complex, and told me to come up to his apartment. And I went up there. So, yeah, Buck, what do you need? He goes, sit down. I sat down. He says, roll me a joint. So I rolled him a joint, light it. I lit it. Roll me another one. Okay. Rolled another one, light it. Hey, man, we're getting that. He's like, you good, because you need to go up and get your gear. You're wrestling on TV today. I'm not either. Yeah, you are. Oh, no, you're messing with me, bud. And I went up and got my gear, and I did, and I had the best damn match ever of my young career. And simply because I forgot who I was and just went out there and acted and reacted to what was going on in the ring. I showed enthusiasm. I showed fire because I was stoned out of my mind.
Well, you weren't in your head.
You got out of your head. That's exactly right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So when the next day, Buck says, that was great yesterday. He goes, I'm going to give you some advice. You can take it or leave it. He goes, it's time for you to move on now. He said, we're having a hard time finding a place for you to go. And you know why? So he said, what you need to do is go someplace where nobody knows you, and you don't know any of them. And you can, on this road trip to that, you need to drive in your car and think about who you want to be and how he would wrestle and what he would do in all sorts of situations. You need to cut promos on yourself looking in the rearview mirror. Damn, Buck. Where am I going? Vancouver, British Columbia. Holy shit. Where's that at? And, it was a 2-day drive, man, of hard driving. But on the way, I started picturing myself as a character, and how I'd react and what I would do. And I started remembering, things that I liked in other wrestlers. And that's what all young guys should do. And started saying, hey, I want to steal that. I want to steal that. I want to do a little Dusty here and a little Dick Murdoch there,
Right.
and created my character. And that's how it happened for me. And whenever I got to Vancouver, the reason I was sent to Vancouver is nobody wanted to go back. Nobody. Nobody in their right mind would go there. Because number one, working in Canada, getting Canadian money, which was worth like, 75 cents on the dollar. And and they weren't paying but like 400 a week. 400 a week wrestling 7 days. And but it gave me the opportunity to wrestle every day. And the guys I were wrestling were either as green as I was, or they were beat up guys that drank too much or did something wrong and just never got a break or whatever. And they were there. And I was very lucky to run into a guy named Moose Borowski. That was my first chance to meet Iron Mike hammer. That was my first opportunity to meet the Iron Sheik.
Mm.
The Sheik and I used to drive on trips a lot. That was an experience, to say the least. Back then, he wasn't quite the way he was in WWE, but he was still out there a long ways. He had quite a temper.
He was a bad son of a bitch.
Yeah, he
wasn't
was, man. He's only about 215 pounds at the time, but he was rock hard. He'd take those damn Indian clubs and just work them things. Hell, I couldn't pick one up over my head, much less twirl them and pitch them and stuff the way he did. Incredibly strong. He was an incredible athlete. People don't realize that, man. He was an Olympic athlete. You know, and to become an Olympic athlete, he had to defect from his home country and go to Russia
Really?
and join the Russian military.
Really?
Yes,
I
sir.
know that.
And then after he got through, he wanted to go home. So what did he have to do? Defect again. He defected from the Russian military and came back to Iran, where the Shah of Iran at the time
Right.
was in power, and he made the Iron Sheik his personal bodyguard.
That I
Because
heard,
he was an icon, you know. And then whenever he got overturned, they grabbed the people, his family and stuff, and came to the U.S. and defected again. He's a defected son of a bitch. But yeah, quite the story, man, that he has, and people don't realize the hardships that he went through. But yeah, that was my beginning, man. And had it not been for Buck Robley, I wouldn't have lasted much longer. But going to Vancouver gave me the opportunity to work, and I got it pretty quick.
So where'd you get your first like real break? I remember we're
There.
talking. So break was did you actually were you Jake Roberts then? Jake the Snake yet?
Oh, it's Jake Roberts. That's
Jake
it.
Roberts.
Did you always wrestle as Jake Roberts, or did you have another
I
name?
wrestled as Jake Smith for a while. I even tried being one of the Kentuckians for a while with a beard. Me and Luke Brown, my dad's ex-tag team partner, tried that for a short time in lovely Nick Goulas's territory in Tennessee. That was an experience that I won't forget. And I remember wrestling in Memphis for Jerry Lawler and them. And I lasted 5 weeks there. And I went to them and told them I was leaving. And they said, "Why are you leaving?" And I said, "Well, I didn't bring enough money." You know, I was making, $15, $20 a night, and those were tough times, man.
I want to ask to go back to Florida. Is the fellow who trained you, the Japanese gentleman, was his name Duke?
No, not Nuki Nuka.
Okay.
I was scared to death of him
Okay.
because I'd watched him in Dallas for a year with the stomach claw. Holy shit. What a sneaky, rotten son of a bitch he was. He was a great man, a great, great man. He had a son that wrestled, but
Pat Tanaka, right?
I went
Was that where was that Pat Tanaka's dad?
Yeah. Small world, huh?
Absolutely. He refereed too. So
Dude, one of the greatest workers ever. He said after his first match, his old man walked over to him and he went, "Should have had your mother have an abortion."
oh, that's
He walked away.
nothing like tough love, huh?
I'll tell you what, Pat, I learned so much from Pat.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, back
He's a
then,
fire.
his knee, because his quad and you could do this with it. And that son of a bitch, he fucking wrestles.
Yeah,
I think he's still going.
yeah, he does.
The fastest flat back bump ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Amazing stuff.
Great. Him and Paul Diamond were great together. And
Yeah.
I learned a lot from those guys. And Patty and I were really good buddies.
See, I went from Calgary to Japan for 8 weeks. And then,
That had to be some culture shock, dude.
oh, brother. I didn't go for Baba. I didn't go for Inoki. I went for a territory for a company called International Pro Wrestling of Japan. And they were known as Blood and Guts.
Oh, God.
They had a cage match every night, which I was in most of them because I had kind of misled them about my size. I had learned a trick on taking pictures. But if you step forward in the picture, you look much bigger than whoever's in the picture with you.